Michael, thank you very much. Tremendous hair, was that right? I'm actually very excited to be here too, and I saw Jerry Pennell in the audience somewhere. I saw him this morning, CIO for LOCOG. There he is. I have to give a big thanks to Jerry. Jerry hosted me literally, Jerry, about 18 months ago, and I had an opportunity to tour the facility that LOCOG had put together. It's an amazing technology. I actually learned something that led to the creation of our own Reuters Olympic product that we've done for iOS that's doing exceptionally well and a great companion product to the results that's out there today. Wonderful to be here tonight. I get to see the beach volleyball as well, so not quite trampolining, but I hear that's going to be quite a spectacle. Our next speaker probably needs some Wiggo sideburns because he has the most conservative hair of us all, but he is the founder of one of the greatest companies out there. You'll know it, one of the most downloaded applications of all time. I'd like to introduce Andrew Fisher from Shazam.
Hey, thanks, Bob. Good morning, everybody. I'm very excited to be here. We're going to try and make this a little bit entertaining as we go through. Let's start off with, for those of you who don't know Shazam, quick introduction. So, can I ask, how many people have heard of Shazam? How many people are Shazamers? Oh, okay. How many people Shazammed Dizzy Rascal on the opening ceremony, and how many people Shazammed, show of hands? How many people, thank you. How many people Shazammed Mike Oldfield? Okay. Well, there we go. That's the rich tapestry of our user base. Dizzy Rascal was number 1, Mike Oldfield was number 2. 3 million people did it. It was quite a short montage. But most people know us as a music discovery company, but that's not what I'm going to focus on this morning. I'm going to talk about changing consumer behavior in the context of digital devices and the opportunities that we see as a company. So, great news for us today is that we have over 200 million users. We're growing very quickly. We acquire 2 million new users to the service every 7 days. We've been experiencing that for 18 months straight in terms of a growth rate. So we're growing fast, but there's a long way to go, as we'll talk about in the presentation. And each day we have about 10 million interactions on the service, and we sell 1 million products every day through the service. And we're live in 200 countries around the world. But I'm not going to talk about music. I'm going to talk about what we think of as the next inflection point in consumer behavior. And the background to all of this is that there are 6 billion phones in the world. So when you think about the number of mobile phones compared to the number of PCs or fixed-line devices, it's about 3 times the number of devices, so 3 times the opportunity. And as most of you have experienced over the last 3 years, we're becoming frenzied and we're spending a huge amount of time on these mobile devices, whether it's checking our social networks or our email or using applications for entertainment and infotainment. So there's a huge opportunity here in terms of the number of people that are carrying technology and to have an engagement with them, and clearly to put a business behind that and create an enterprise opportunity. Now, for us as a company, one of the things that we're very mindful of is that 80% of people have a phone next to them whilst they're watching TV. And so when we think about traditional television being linear, just one directional, broadcasting out into the living room, today there's a real opportunity to engage people. Now, the reality is that most people are either checking email or on Facebook or on Twitter, talking to their friends. But the broadcast community has a real challenge here because that means that there's less audience engagement, there's less attention being spent on what's actually being broadcast and the content itself. So I thought I'd start by trying to explain what is the Shazam experience around television. So we've been very fortunate. This is NBC. We're doing all of the Olympics in North America with NBC for what we call a second screen experience. So in the corner of the television screen, you'll see a prompt for people to educate them that, hey, I can pick up Shazam and I can actually Shazam the event. It's exactly the same application on the phone. And then the experience itself is that you'll have a content experience that is served to your device. So it's not just mobile phones, it could be iPads, netbooks, etc. So for example, This is a results page, so I'm watching the evening highlights of the Olympics, and I can go into an experience around this, and instantaneously now, whilst my family, who haven't been to work that day, have seen the gold medal winner of the 100 meters freestyle several times over, without interrupting their viewing experience, I can now start watching today's highlights on my device. So the family viewing experience isn't interrupted, I'm getting a personalized experience, and I can go from there into things like the medal tables. And so now we're starting to have true interactivity, true personalization being driven in these very traditional environments. So that's just one example. But we like to think of ourselves as being a lot more creative than that in the UK. So I'm going to show you a second example from Red Bull, which was an award-winning campaign we did around combining these devices, traditional media with mobile devices. So here's an example from Red Bull, and this is also something that was run in North America on NBC.
Get more exclusive POV videos when you see the Shazam button during Red Bull Signature Series on NBC. Use the Shazam app on your smartphone to experience what the run looks like from the rider's point of view. Watch Supernatural on 2 screens and collect 4 different runs during the show by Travis Rice, Gigi Ruff, Terry Hawkinson, and John Jackson.
Okay, so if you weren't Shazamming Dizzy Rascal or Mike Oldfield, we may have slightly lost you there on the skiing. But the point being here, though, is that we're not trying to apply technology for technology's sake. We're using technology to make a more compelling experience and try and keep it super simple and super relevant to what you're doing at the time. So there you could actually look at the rider's view as you came down the ski run on your phone, as you were seeing the footage of them actually coming down the slope on the main screen. And that had a very, very high participation rate in terms of the viewing audience. So one of the things we're experiencing as a company is people are prepared to do this right now. And we're a 10-year-old business that's taken us a long time to climb the mountain of encouraging people to use these devices to interact. And yet we have an experience like this where a large portion of that audience actually participated and actually watched that end to end. Now, one of my speaking colleagues today, Anthony Rose from Zbox, is going to talk a lot more about the innovation that's happening in the UK around TV. So I'm going to talk a little bit about television advertising, because this is really what the significant opportunity is around new media and these new devices. TV advertising is worth $300 billion worldwide every single year. It's worth about $70 billion in North America alone. So you may ask yourself, why on earth, when you're watching television, would you actually want to pick up a device and start interacting with a brand when you've got so many other things to do? So here's an interesting question for you. What do you think people most commonly do when a commercial break comes on television? Make a cup of tea, make a cup of coffee, go and get something to eat, or the obvious, go to the toilet. 60% of people actually check their phones now when an advert comes on TV. So the reality is that people have this device in their hands, and a brand has a real opportunity to talk to those people and to engage them in their television advertising. Of course, the trick is you have to motivate people to do this, and you have to do it in an entertaining way. So I'm going to show you an example from Procter & Gamble of some of the work we've done in terms of encouraging people to interact with television adverts.
So tell me about yourself.
Well, you know, an organized person, somebody who does not need details. Ouch. I'm actually very, very good with groups. Group work. I've surpassed all my goals in my previous position, my prior job, and your competitor. My personnel underneath surpassed their own goals.
Oh.
Get famous at mytalkingstain.com.
So who knew that Tide could ever be so exciting? A very viral advert and very successful for Procter & Gamble, and all kudos to them for doing that work. But as a consumer, you're sitting here thinking, well, okay, why would I do this? So here's an example from somebody who makes ready-made pastry and cake mix. They're called Pillsbury. They're one of our clients in the States. And this is a little bit more obvious. So they're promoting a food to you. In this case, it's pastry. If you Shazam their advert, the first thing you do is you get the recipe. So here's some dishes that you can make. You can actually get the video on your device. So if you take it into the kitchen on your iPad or on your mobile phone, they're not only going to give you the ingredients on your phone to take into the supermarkets to buy, but now you can actually watch the video whilst you're making it in the kitchen. And they're going to send you more recipes in the future because they know that you're interested in these types of products. And that's a real value-added experience. It goes beyond just a brand saying, come buy my ready-made pastry mix, but I'm going to add value to you. I'm going to show you what to make. I'm going to show you how to make it. And it's going to be extremely easy. You really have to work very little in order to get that information. So just to share where the industry is right now, the Super Bowl this year is, as many of you know, on an annual basis, the Super Bowl is the world's biggest media event. It's $7 million for a 60-second advert. And half of the advertisers, there were 40 brands this year at the Super Bowl, 70 ads. Half of those brands, Shazam enabled their ads. And we had everything from people giving away 2 cars, one for you and a friend if you Shazam their ad, through to a gift voucher, so a $50 gift voucher to redeem against a mobile phone. Really great incentives for people to pick up and start engaging with these brands. And the benefit for them, if you opt in and you register, is, of course, now they can start having this dialogue, which they've never had before through their television advertising. So they've started the dialogue, and it's worth their while to give you great incentives to pick up your device and engage. And the other important thing for brands is many people now are focused on their social media strategy. So how many likes does Coca-Cola have on Facebook, for example? And people are spending their marketing budgets building out their audience on the social networks. And it was interesting that we had as many people Shazam the ads at the Super Bowl as all the tweets and all the Facebook likes combined this year. So we were really seeing movement in the audience at scale around these new types of experience. And finally, if you make it easy for people, they'll do it. So we had people that were achieving 27% purchase rates. These are completed purchases. So when you think about Michael's comments on start with 100 emails and get to 1 respondent, this is all the people that took out their devices, engaged with the advertising, and nearly 1 in 4 people would actually go on and buy the product off a traditional television ad. So we think this truly is the next inflection point in consumer behavior, and it's a huge opportunity, and we're going to talk a little bit more about it in a later presentation as well. So I just want to conclude, because we are a UK company that has over 200 million users. We're growing very rapidly. 10 million out of our 225 million users are in the UK. All our other users are around the world. America's our biggest market. We have 70 million people in America that use Shazam, for example. But the company is based in the UK, and there's a very good reason for that. And some of the co-founders of the company were also North Americans, by coincidence. And that is because our heritage in the UK, we are very, very strong on mobile technologies. SMS was invented in the UK. We were building apps before the iPhone existed, before these app stores were invented. We've been doing this for many, many years in the UK, and we have a tremendous talent pool. And not only is that just UK nationals, but we're also a magnet for talent in terms of people from other parts of the world that come to work in the UK. So that's why our company is based in the UK. We have 160 people here working on 1 single app, which is a lot. It's a lot of money. And we've also had tremendous support from the UK government and initiatives like Tech City. But I don't want to oversell this, but we're very proud of the fact that we are building out a global business actually 15 minutes away from where we are today. So thank you very much for listening and your attention.